I've got some troubling news about England's royal family.
I've got some troubling news about England's royal family. The final stroke of Prince William's pen did far more than simply approve an official royal document. According to the report, that single signature brought an end to Meghan Markle's final ceremonial connection with the British crown, closing a chapter that had remained uncertain for several years. While Meghan had already stepped away from her role as a working member of the royal family, this latest decision was described as the last formal step in resolving an issue that had continued to attract attention both inside and outside the palace. What appeared to be an ordinary piece of paperwork was, in reality, a document carrying years of history, disagreement, family tension, constitutional discussion, and public interest. The moment itself lasted only a few seconds, yet its impact was expected to remain part of royal conversations for a very long time. Inside a private and heavily protected room at Windsor Castle, the atmosphere was calm, quiet, and unusually tense. There were no reporters, no cameras, and no public audience to witness what was happening. Only a small number of trusted palace officials were present, each fully aware that the document resting on the table represented much more than a routine royal procedure. Every page had been carefully prepared, reviewed, and examined before reaching Prince William's desk. The final decree contained language that would officially define which royal privileges could continue to exist and which ones would permanently come to an end. Although the wording appeared formal and carefully written, everyone in the room understood that the consequences extended far beyond legal terminology. The decision would not only affect palace records, but would also influence how future generations viewed this chapter of modern royal history. Before signing, Prince William reportedly took one final look at the last page. Instead of rushing through the process, he carefully read every line once again, making sure that every detail matched the final version that had already been approved through official palace procedures. The room remained completely silent as he reviewed the document. No advisor interrupted him with another suggestion. No secretary offered additional comments, and no official attempted to restart the discussion. The silence itself reflected the seriousness of the occasion. Everyone present understood that this was not the kind of decision that could easily be reversed once it became official. After a brief pause, Prince William reached for the black fountain pen placed beside the document. For a few quiet moments, it seemed as though the weight of years of family disagreements rested entirely on that single signature. When the pen finally touched the paper, the action itself lasted only seconds, but according to the report, its importance reached far beyond the palace walls. The document reportedly confirmed that Meghan's remaining ceremonial connection to the crown had officially come to an end. While she had already stopped carrying out royal duties and had not publicly used the HRH style for years, the decree was described as removing every remaining official recognition connected to that status. Palace recognition, ceremonial precedence, official representation, and any automatic possibility of returning to royal duties without direct approval from the reigning monarch were all addressed within the final wording. According to those familiar with the decision, the purpose was not simply to update palace records. Instead, it was presented as an effort to remove uncertainty and establish a clear distinction between working members of the royal family and relatives who had chosen to build independent lives outside the institution. Supporters believed that leaving unresolved questions in place would only create more confusion in the future, while critics viewed the decision as another deeply emotional chapter in an already divided family. Regardless of opinion, the signature marked the official conclusion of a royal issue that had remained the subject of discussion for years before placing his signature on the document. Prince William reportedly read the final page twice. He did not rush the process or treat it as a routine palace formality. Every sentence on the page carried constitutional importance, and every word had already been reviewed through official royal procedures. According to the report, no advisor interrupted him during those final moments, and no palace clerk attempted to break the silence. The atmosphere inside the room remained calm, yet everyone present understood that the decision they were witnessing would become one of the most significant royal developments in recent years. The royal status decree resting beneath the official seal was far more than an ordinary administrative paper. It was a formal declaration explaining which royal privileges could continue to exist and which ones would officially come to an end. Although the document itself appeared simple, its consequences reached far beyond ceremonial language and palace protocol. It represented years of difficult conversations, internal discussions, and unresolved questions that had remained unanswered ever since Prince Harry and Meghan stepped away from their positions as senior working members of the royal family. According to the report, Meghan had already stopped publicly using the HRH style after leaving official royal duties. However, the newly approved decree reportedly went much further than simply acknowledging that decision. It officially removed palace recognition connected to the title, ended ceremonial precedents attached to that status, prevented official representation on behalf of the crown, and confirmed that no automatic return to active royal service would be possible in the future. If any future role were ever considered, it would require direct approval from the reigning monarch rather than taking place through private family conversations or ceremonial invitations. The report explained that this wording was designed to remove every remaining uncertainty surrounding Meghan's former royal position. Palace officials reportedly believed that leaving unclear rules in place could create future confusion whenever royal titles, charitable events, diplomatic meetings, or public ceremonies involved members of the extended royal family. From their perspective, the institution required a clear and consistent standard that could be understood by everyone, both inside Britain and around the world. Prince William reportedly understood the personal weight of the decision before him. He was fully aware that the document involved not only constitutional matters, but also members of his own family. Meghan was not simply a former working royal. She was also the wife of his younger brother, Prince Harry, making the decision deeply personal as well as official. According to the report, Prince William believed the monarchy could no longer continue operating with unclear boundaries that invited repeated public debate. Every unresolved privilege created another opportunity for misunderstanding, while every delay risked weakening the institution he would one day inherit. Although he understood the emotional consequences, he reportedly believed that protecting the long-term stability of the crown required firm decisions rather than temporary compromises. From his point of view, official royal authority could only remain respected if its responsibilities and privileges were clearly defined without leaving room for different interpretations. In the future, once the signature had been placed on the document, Prince William quietly lowered the pen and gently pushed the completed decree toward the waiting palace clerk. No applause followed, no celebration took place, and no one spoke immediately after the paperwork was completed. According to the report, the silence inside the room reflected the seriousness of what had just happened. Only minutes later, confirmation of the completed decree reportedly reached King Charles in his private study. The king carefully opened the official notice and slowly read every page before removing his glasses and placing the document face down on his desk. Those familiar with the moment suggested that his silence did not represent victory or satisfaction. Instead, it reflected the difficult position of a father who understood that protecting the future of the monarchy might also deepen the painful divisions already existing within his own family. The report described it as one of the heaviest responsibilities of his reign, balancing constitutional duty with deeply personal emotions that no official document could ever fully resolve. Across the Atlantic, Meghan reportedly received the news through a secure private phone call shortly after sunrise. According to the report, she remained calm and listened carefully without interrupting as every detail of the decision was explained. She did not immediately react with anger or surprise. Instead, she allowed the caller to finish reading the official information before asking a single question. She wanted to know whether Prince William had personally signed the decree himself or whether the approval had come through another royal official. When she was informed that the future king had personally authorized the document, the atmosphere reportedly changed. Rather than debating the decision during the call, Meghan requested the exact wording of the final clause. She believed that the language used in the last section would reveal whether the palace intended the decision to remain temporary or whether it had been written to permanently close the issue. According to the report, she understood that every word inside an official royal decree carries legal and constitutional importance.